Welcome to Progress Bar Visualizations. We're going to be looking at California Health and Human Services Open Data Portal and how to do visual analytics with open data. One of the great things about California's healthcare is that whatever we pay for our tax dollars becomes transparent information for us. So we can download the information that's submitted to OSHPD, the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development, and we can use all of this information to get a better understanding about how our tax dollars are spent and what hospitals look like in terms of their utilization as well as their finances. So in the website, there are a bunch of data sets available in PDF, XLS, and CSV formats. And when I'm looking at a bunch of Excel files, let's say we download any number of these, right? They have hundreds of rows, and it can be kind of intimidating to try to wrap your head around how to create an understanding about the big picture from looking at rows of data or even making a few charts with Excel. Where Tableau comes in is that the specialty is wrapping your mind around or you exploring big sets of data and multiple sets of data using something called a data blend. We're going to connect to, what was this called again? The 1718 finances. And you can use this tool over here to interpret the data. One thing I want to do, I want you to notice right off the bat is that, when Tableau is reading this data, it kind of gives an assignment to the information, and this facility number has been identified as a measure. So just take a note of this, measures versus dimensions. This should be categorized as a dimension, but we'll take care of that in a little bit. So I have this finance data, and I'm going to go ahead and rename this to Hospital Finance 1718. And the other file that I'm going to connect to is this hospital utilization data 18. If I wanted to create a join, I would add the data over here, and I could get that hospital, that extra data, and with additional items I could bring this to join the rows to each other, so that we would have some giant column monster over here joined upon their common dimension. But this is not what I want to do for this example. I'm looking to blend this data on the common dimension. What I'm going to do to blend data instead of joining it is I'm going to create a new data, connect to a new data source, and I'm going to connect to this so that it looks at it as a separate entity. So now you see I only have this item listed over here, and I'm wondering, where did my other data go? And that answer would be over here. When you look at the view, you'll see your two data sources. The first thing that we have to sort when we're looking at blending data is the relationships that they are connected on. And it looks like it has connected on the facility name, which is probably fair enough. My guess would be that this facility name would be the same in both of these dimensions. But I want to be sure that they are connected on the facility number that was assigned by OSHPD, assigned by the government. So if I'm going to add a custom item to this to make sure that we're looking at the same thing, I scroll through the list and I have facility number over here, but I notice it's missing from this side, which is the secondary data source on the finances. If we go to the finances and to the data source, if you will remember, that first item was listed as a measure. You can't blend data based on measures. I need to drag this item over into the dimensions. So now when I'm looking at the blend relationships, the facility number is automatically added into here. And generally speaking, database wise, the more items you have that are going to ensure that your join relationships are secure, the better, because you don't want to join erroneous items to each other. You don't want to mismatch your data. And it seems that on this level, right, they're going to have the same facility name, they're going to have the same county, and the same number. But if I wanted to remove any of these, I could highlight the items that I don't want as my identifiers, and I could go ahead and ensure that this ID number, this facility ID number for OSHPD, is going to be the only item we're using to blend. When you are blending data, whichever item that you add first is going to become your primary data source, and that means that all of the items that are in your first or your primary data source are going to be added, and then whatever relevant items in your secondary data source will be added afterwards. So let me rename this one so it's easier to read over here. Finance 1718. And this will be utilization. Let me rename this. Utilization 1718. Okay, easier to read. So now that we have two data sources over here, we need to, whatever we bring information in from first, will decide which is the primary data source, meaning that all the items from this data source will be included, and then whatever is relevant will be pulled in from the secondary data source. So from finances, let's pick a facility name to filter on, and then we're going to, let's pick something that everybody recognizes like Cedars-Sinai, and we're going to bring that into the rows. And let's take a look at their total capitated revenue, and that's a lot of money. So this blue check mark means that the finances are being used as the primary data source, and then in utilization, whatever I bring over it will be marked with an orange to show that it is the secondary. And we're going to blend this so we can look at total discharges. And one thing it's going to tell us is that it wants to look, it doesn't want to look at the information at the same time until we confirm the relationship. Oops. So Cedars-Sinai has 18 million in this total capitation revenue, and they have 50,000 discharges. This is generally how blending data works. So if you want to use a bunch of different measures from related databases and they have a dimension that they are related on, this is how you can do it.